Hello out there, I'm the oldest nerd. In this episode, Wish World, there are so many things in it, it's hard to keep up with. But here are some of the things that I noticed on here. First of all, Conrad, you may have noticed, was the podcaster who got Ruby to say some things that did not work well, and a whole conspiracy theory against the Doctor and UNIT and aliens being on Earth, all that kind of stuff. He is eventually put in jail, and Mrs. Flood, now that we know the Ronnie, released him from jail with ideas on what to do with him. And what we found is that he is now a person who is living in a world of his own wishing, where he has a television show, which are all on little bitty, 20-inch, or rather 13-inch CRT screens in a kind of a mid-60s looking 2025, where everything is done in primary colors and all the coffee mugs match and such as that. So that's one thing. The other thing is Omega, which is mentioned near the end of the episode. And Omega was a person on Gallifrey who came up with a technology for time travel. And that is where the Time Lords began. You could call him the father of the Time Lords. But we already know that as the in the Chibnall era, they established the Doctor is coming from someplace else altogether, and they were able to splice the DNA from the first version of the Doctor to other people on Gallifrey, so everybody has this ability to regenerate. But the actual process of time travel came from Omega. Now, Omega was first seen in a John Pertwee episode. This was the third Doctor, and he had also the previous two, Patrick Troughton and of course, the first Doctor in this episode, in which they are having to deal with Omega, which we see for the first time. Apparently, during experiments after his discovery of how to do time travel, got him put into some kind of alternate universe in which he exists only as energy. And while they think they may have gotten rid of him, they weren't altogether sure. And sure enough, under Peter Davison, he is also involved in an episode there. And there was a brief flash and you'll miss it kind of thing in early in this season, but we won't go there at this point. So those are those two things there. Of course, John Smith is what the Doctor always goes at as an alias, and what he went after when his memories were put into this locket so that he could exist as a human and not be seen by other beings as anything but a human. And that's all that. But in this case, he's just being manipulated by the Ronnie, in which Conrad's wish basically was to create a world in where there is no doubt. Despite the fact that he spent much of his own career creating doubt in everybody else, he wanted a world in which there was no doubt and everybody was the same. So our friends from UNIT have become an insurance company, and the science advisor, whose name I can't remember, is an outcast because she is in a wheelchair and does not understand the connection there. She said, I have spina bifida, I need medication for it, but I haven't had any, and yet I'm still okay. And this wheelchair that I'm in is a rather advanced one. I wouldn't have been able to find that. So how did this all happen? And so this doubting group takes in Ruby, who is trying to figure it out. She realizes that John Smith is the Doctor, although confronting him about it, he doesn't understand what she's talking about. And in fact, nobody understands what the Ronnie's talking about while she's explaining her big plan, including most of the viewers. And what it looks like is that she allowed Conrad to create this wish world because people would have doubts. It's a natural human thing, and these doubts would break down the world. And what she wants to do is to break down the world in order for it to reveal the underverse in which Omega is in, and needed the Doctor and his locator device in order to do that. And his going from time to time is also what's causing the energy for that world to be made. Okay, why she couldn't have done it, we don't know. But the doubt of a Time Lord would finish putting the whole thing out, and so the whole idea was to get him doubting until it wrecked everything, and that's how we left the episode. So that's where we are on that. The child John Smith and B have is Poppy. Now, Poppy was the name of the child that got kidnapped by the goblins back last season. And so, and then you tie that in with the world where poppies were made into honey flavoring during the concert episode. So, I mean, you know, there's some tie-in with poppies and with and this baby who is the god of wishes, which they go back to the 16th century in order to get a seventh son of a seventh son of a seventh son, which apparently is how you bring gods in. They also call back, of course, to David Tennant's time when he goes to the edge of the galaxy and makes a joke, which releases all of the pantheon of gods, which we've met, of course, the Toymaker, the Sutek, and the Jinx Monsoon. Anyway. So all of these are coming together, and so far we don't really know what's going to happen beyond here. So it is difficult to break down because it's all leading to something, and we're not sure what this leading is doing and what the Ronnie wants with Omega anyway. Omega didn't seem to be an evil person, at least as far as I know, but then there's some plan that she has with that, which she was kind of explaining, but doing it in kind of a doublespeak. It's interesting to see the interplay between Ronnie Prime and the Mrs. Flood Ronnie, that there's a little bit of discussed between the two of them. The Ronnie doesn't usually work with an assistant, and the former Ronnie does not care to be an assistant whose job is to perhaps make sandwiches for Conrad. So there's going to be some discord stirred up here, and the Doctor only at the end of the episode understanding who he really is, and perhaps not in time to do anything about it. So it's an interesting thing. I think that we're going to see our differently abled friends in the tent city be a help. They have a little bit of old unit tech somehow, and that may do something for them. So it was interesting how they built this world, this ideal world, and which goes oddly back into the early 60s kind of decor, this mid-century colors and motif and state of mind, generally speaking. And we also see a quick cameo from Susan again, which was just a blink on the TV, and also from Rogue, who you recall early in this season that the Doctor practically fell in love with, who basically advised him that tables don't do that. And that began his way of finding the Ronnie. So we're all of this that is kind of the puzzle pieces, they're all here, but not quite put together yet, is where we find ourselves. But as always, it's interesting to watch. You can see the struggle in the face of the doctor who understands that things aren't right but realizes that they should be right. And, of course, Belinda, who is certainly living within that world, but you can tell that there are doubts in her too. That's it's nice, subtle acting there. So that's what I get out of this. The finale is going to be a big one. And if it's like this episode and every episode this season where they throw everything in but the kitchen sink, it's going to be quite a thing to unload next week, to unfold and try to explain. But I guess when Doctor Who is its best is when you have to think about it, you have to talk about it, you have to work it out in order to figure out how this all works. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week with another one. We'll have a Last of Us review also this week. And so thank you. Until next time, don't go far.